would love to have a conversation with anyone who has a grasp on the power of technology and what it takes to create it, and also I'm also just excited to meet somebody that has been able to educate themselves about health and recognizes that the human body is actually the ultimate form of technology that we understand on this planet, planate, whatever you think this realm is, whatever this earth, planet, I don't know what, it's just, I'm a very open-minded young man, and I'm a very outspoken young man, and it's an honor to meet someone that's so supportive, and a random person from Twitter as well. But I think the core topic could be, like I said, technology and health, because these two things should go hand in hand, and they can and they do, but it's just most people have been using technology to their detriment.
Indeed, Rue. I would say let's focus on the health topic for a certain reason, is that there is a more sense of urgency on this, right? I mean,
Yeah.
now, the other day I went to a doctor, against my wishes, and the doctor was saying this is the COVID era, and I was like, huh? What the hell is a COVID era, How can it be? It's the COVID era. So they just don't see anything else. I mean, you can notice it, right? I mean, that's the only topic now is COVID and COVID and COVID. And I think there is such a huge gap within people regarding health, how to maintain themselves, how to keep themselves healthy, how to get healthy, okay, how to heal themselves. And that's one of the reasons that why we are in such a mess and in such a confusion, because people don't know how to deal with this topic, and they are just taking whatever is being offered to them in the media. Or let's say, I mean, it has been proven that the health authorities, the doctors, the hospitals are totally incompetent to deal with this topic, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here. So I think technology, I mean, my background, just maybe to take a step back and to talk about my background a bit.
Thank you.
So I'm based actually in Europe right now, and I'm in the digital technology domain, and I'm working on as a sustainability consultant. So we try to develop solutions. We try to develop solutions to improve sustainability of supply chains and to minimize the footprint on the environment, okay, using different technological means. But I wouldn't now emphasize on this because it's not so relevant to the topic regarding health. So maybe also a small background regarding my interests about health topics. So that's a long story. Probably it goes back like some 15 years.
Well, we once much time as you have, sir, because I'm all ears.
Yeah, so we want to keep it compact also, so that
absolutely
condense as much as possible.
Bite-sized pieces for the masses.
Yeah. So just a small background regarding my interest in health and about medicine in general. So that was like some 15 years ago. That's actually my mother. She got diagnosed with hepatitis. Not sure if you know what hepatitis is. It's a liver inflammation and it's a viral origin. Okay, so we're talking about hepatitis C here. So at that time, which is exactly. So it all started there, and we can circle back to our current state of affairs, which is also a virus problem. Okay, and so mainly, let's say, that's when we got the news about this virus. We didn't know much. I didn't care much about the health topic whatsoever. It took some days until I researched and I was, let's say, digesting what was told to us, which was that my mom is in a very, very bad condition, that there is a virus which is eating up her liver. And if you don't do anything, then she's going to have liver failure and she's going to die a horrible death. So that was the official narrative that was being pushed on us, and the standard procedure, which was as it is now, that you do a PCR testing, and then they tell you, well, in that case, it's a blood-borne disease, they say. So you
Oh,
do a
wow.
blood test, right?
Yes.
And what is interesting about the way that they were telling us is that, okay, now you might not be feeling anything right now, and you think you are healthy, but let's say some 15 or 10 years or 25 years down the road, you would have some serious problems. So imagine that they are able to predict your
Yeah.
health conditions, so quite far ahead in the future.
We call this
And
a prognosis in English.
yes, exactly. And of course, then all the fear starts. They start preaching you fear here that you're going to die, you're going to get cancer, you're going to get it, for the simple reason that they want to push a treatment on you, right? And And in this case, the problem was that the treatment is very aggressive chemical treatment, which is, it's called interferon therapy. Okay, so it's an antiviral therapy. And that's something that we didn't want to do. It's 2 years chemical treatment with very, very severe side effects at that time. Okay,
Now this is called allopathy, right?
exactly, allopathic medicine. And the side effects are so horrible that we didn't want to do it. And that's where the entire struggle with the idea of the virus and how you can live with it all started there. And here we are now, let's say 15 years down the road. So my mom is very healthy. She didn't do any treatment. She
Wow.
just did some lifestyle changes, especially regarding her diet. And that was a journey by itself, because then you are trying to find out, well, what is a healthy lifestyle? What is a healthy diet? I mean, there is plenty of propositions there, right? When it comes to diet, some people say, well, a meat only diet is the right diet. The others say, well, no, a vegan diet is the best. And then it's complete nutshell out there. So there also is a struggle that you want to now get informed, and you want to learn, and you are like trying to fish out a needle from a haystack, right? To find the right piece of information. So it's a
Absolutely.
learning process. Okay.
Information is too abundant.
That's also probably, it circles back to your problem that you want to talk about technology, that you now have all these available technologies that allows you, it brings to your fingertip so much information. But then the question is, it's just clutter, it's just noise, right? It's nothing that helps you. So you want to really fish out actually what you need. So that's the
Wow.
challenging part. That's the challenging
Yes.
part. So that was a bit of my background. Let's say not a very short one, regarding why is it that I got interested in health and the learning process that arises from there. I mean, it's still, I compacted it quite dramatically, but it all started like that. And it brings us back to our current situation, where we're dealing also with supposedly a virus that's going to bring the end of the world. And we somehow also stand in the face of it, and we don't know how to deal with this topic, right? And people are completely uninformed. For a massive majority, I would say, and 90%, they have no clue about this topic. They believe the viral theory as it is presented to them. And that's
Yes.
also a topic by itself, regarding the origin of virus and
Yep.
what do viruses do, whether do they exist. There is a
Yeah.
big movement that is denying now viruses, right? I mean, that's also maybe is a theory that I don't immediately subscribe to.
Yep.
It's more like we need to understand, if it exists, then what does it do? Maybe it's not bad for us, maybe it's good for us. So that's some topics that we need to explore.
Absolutely. And that's why it's such an honor to have a gentleman like you to co-host with me. It's like, if you view anything in nature as there's beneficial things in nature and there are detrimental things in nature, and right now there is an overabundance of information, and there's a monopoly on information. And what the core issue, I believe, is people don't have the discernment to find the truth because they weren't educated how to properly utilize this age of instant gratification and technology. There's a lot of things that tie in with the technology, which is the economy, which you're supremely aware of. If you're in the industry of sustainability and supply chains, then you're aware of the economy, and that actually is what made me reach out to you. Was I knew that you had this knowledge and awareness of holistic healing just by what I observed through your tweets, and then you happened to actually reach out when I said I was pretty sure I had appendicitis or some kind of very bad bowel disease. But the point is that I was able to use my device, which I'm recording on right now, live with someone that's 7 hours away from me, which is amazing. And people need to really grasp what the power of that is. But regardless, I was able to look on this device right here and find out what would be the proper remedies to heal my ailments. And mind you, this gentleman Ortin over here was giving me advice because he has familiarized himself with the benefit of technology. Now, it's a double-edged sword. Technology is also very detrimental when it's not used in a mindful, conscious way as a beneficiary. And what I would just like to add to your point is that this science has separated. There's a moral branch of science and an immoral branch of science, and I feel like at some point science got concerned more with and technology got more concerned with money instead of health, and it's like health is the ultimate wealth. Am I right or am I wrong?
Definitely, health is wealth. I mean, there's no dispute about that. Many people, they don't come to realize this except when they have some serious challenges. Mm-hmm. Only then they realize how even a minor headache would actually lead you to realize this fact, because it's something you just want to get rid of it, right? And that's why you would pop a pill generally, because you just don't want it. It's disturbing, it's uncomfortable. We are not even talking about more debilitating diseases, right? As you said, the body is the greatest technological tool, and the body is completely capable of fixing and healing itself. And of course, the brain also has a very important role in this, because obviously you are using your brain in order to search and navigate through the internet. And what I want to say, which is something that I often tell to some of my friends, is that whenever you are using the internet, you actually find the information which you already know deep inside you. And, so you already know the information and you are just searching for a confirmation.
Oh my God.
Okay. So it's like, okay, let's take the case where you had your problem with your appendicitis. So normally, if you are convinced inside you that it's you need to go to the doctor and you need to make a surgery and chop it off, which is usually what they would do, you would do that. And then you would also on the internet, you would be searching websites and information which leads you in that direction, because that's what you are convinced of internally. Okay.
Yes.
So this brings us back to the age-old wisdom which we can find in the Bible, which says, "Seek and you will find." So if you deep down, if you are really seeking for something, you will find it. And if you are seeking for an easy way out, that's also something you will find, but to your detriment, right? Because
Yes.
I think that's one of the worst thing that you can do to your body is to remove a part of it, right? Surgically. So through an operation, whether you are removing a gallbladder or an appendicitis, or you are removing any kind of gland or organ or part of it, okay, that has lifetime consequences. So you can basically fix and revert probably everything, but the most challenging thing to revert is when you remove part of your body. Okay, so that's also because that's one of the tweets that actually there was some, let's say, an audience on it was when I talked about toothache and
Yep.
how you go to the dentist and they just drill it out as if it's
Yep.
something that, let's say, it's not necessary, or as if that's the solution, right? Which is completely wrong. And there is not a single visit that you go to the dentist and you come back to your home and you are in a better shape than when you
Nope.
went to the dentist, because always you are now missing some pieces, some bone tissue, okay?
And you
And
hurt.
exactly, exactly. I mean that's also, maybe I just want to speak about the history of my interest in this topic, because I have tried to avoid doctors altogether. Okay, so normal doctors, that was an easy part because whatever problems I had, I could handle them. Okay, but the toothache, it always brought me to my knees,
Oh
because
yeah.
whenever I have a toothache, then I was always forced to go to the dentist, and then they do their thing, right? Until
Yeah.
the day I came to realize that even toothaches, they just also spontaneously resolve by themselves if you just give them the time.
Let
And
it
that's the
leave it alone.
exactly, and that's the key for most of the health problems. You just need to give the body the time it takes in order to fix itself. And
Yep.
people in the age of instant gratification, they just want to get well immediately. Okay, and the tolerance for pain and for a bit of suffering, it's so low that they will just go to the hospital, get anesthetized, and do whatever they are being told just to get rid of their problems immediately. And that's the major issue that we have with people and how they are dealing with disease.
Well, I will add quickly is because people believe they don't have time.
Yeah, that maybe also that I can understand there is some pressure on them that they cannot take a day off or just call in sick because maybe they are afraid they get fired if they are, let's say, 3 4 days sick. And I must say something that whenever I feel that I'm getting a cold or, as they say, catch a flu, so one needs to be a bit sensitive and immediately detect the earliest symptoms. Okay,
Yep.
when you feel like okay, you're getting some mild aches, or your throat is feeling funny, maybe you have some funny fever. Okay, so as early possible, you need to take action. And what is the action? Is that you need to rest and you need to take it easy. You shouldn't go to work, okay? Because the more that you ignore it and you just keep doing your thing, okay, that you go to work, you do your normal activity, then the worse this condition gets, okay? So in this case, instead of, let's say, taking a day off or calling sick, then if you continue doing your activity and exerting pressure on your body, what happens is that it gets in worse condition, and then you need 3 or 4 days in order to recover. Even some people, they need 5 days or even longer, yeah, a couple of weeks to recover from what is normally the flu. And that's actually what we are dealing with right now. It's nothing else than the flu,
A,
and people are
influenza
completely.
A and influenza B.
I wouldn't even go to that level of giving it names, because when it comes to the world of viruses, we are dealing with millions and billions of different types. I mean, this is such a complex world,
Well,
and there is,
yes,
no sense whatsoever to
it's like
categorize them.
you could think about viruses like individual people, like as in many individual humans there are on this planet. There's that many. Each person is a walking ecosystem of viruses. It's a
and
natural part of life.
yes, and that is, I think it's even now proven that they call it the viral biome. So, in addition to
Yes.
the bacterial biome, is that you have the viral biome, and it's proven that's quite, I think, yeah, probably a big chunk of our genes actually it's of viral origin.
Yes.
And uh, there is some interesting developments in this direction. There is some, at least some people, I mean, even MDs, like doctors, who are now speaking out about, let's say, a new theory of viruses. There
Yep.
is a one theory that hypothesis actually that I have read from is a Spanish doctor. Is a urologist, and is called Dr. Alejandro Suso, and he actually comes up with a theory, with a hypothesis, and it's very well written, which says that viruses are actually a messaging and communication system. So it's
Absolutely.
something that even if it's transmittable, that means that, let's say you catch it, okay, it has a certain role to communicate certain information
Yep.
and perform certain functions, which basically it's about alerting that there is a certain kind of toxic accumulations, and it communicates between different individuals and cells that certain cleanups and detoxification needs to be done, which is exactly what usually happens when you are having this seasonal periodic buildup of toxins in your body. And when I say toxin, it doesn't mean that necessarily that you are smoking or you are ingesting whatever chemicals. Just the normal food that we consume, it can
Yep.
be toxic. Even the healthy food that you consume, eventually it collects metabolic waste. And
Yep.
if the rate of intake is higher than the rate of
Yep.
the output that you're
Balance, right?
throwing
Because
out, is
you
balanced.
gotta get rid of the extra nutrients that your body doesn't need.
Exactly. I mean, a cell is just like an individual. It just consumes food, and then it just, how to say it, shits it out, right?
Yep.
And then where does it shit it out? To its direct, immediate surrounding, which we call the extracellular matrix, right? That's the
Yep.
direct cellular medium. Yeah, it's a fluid medium, and
Yeah,
whenever
it's
it's producing
where the
waste,
viruses come in, right?
everything is there basically. Everything. I mean, the extracellular medium. It's viruses, bacteria,
It's like the air that
hormones.
we breathe, right? It's like the air that we breathe almost for the cells. It's
Let's say
plasma, right?
it's the space between you and some other individual. So so if you are a cell and I am a cell, then the space in between us is the extracellular matrix. Okay,
Okay.
so usually the cells they are lined up together. There is a certain space in between where there is some nutrients, there is water, there is waste also, because the cell it has its own mechanism of taking in material and also expelling out material. But whenever it expels waste, it's directly going to its surrounding, and then you have certain special cells which cleans up now these wastes. Okay, so when you have accumulations, then it's normal that the body is going to do something to just flush it out, and that is usually expressed. Sometimes you get a diarrhea, then you just go to the toilet, and then it's doing a cleanup. Sometimes you are experiencing some snot, and then it's from up that the waste is
Or
coming up.
vomit.
Vomit also. I mean, especially when you have acute phases of toxification, like for example when you ingested a poison. Okay, so the first mechanism of the body is that it vomits it out.
Yes.
Okay, and likewise it has sweating mechanism. It has
Yes.
all kind of flame generation. So these are the normal processes which the body uses to expel waste and toxins. And
These are called exosomes.
yes, there is also these days that they are calling the viruses as an exosome, which is also an interesting theory. But the proponents of the exosome theory, they say that there is no contagious effect. So the exosomes cannot be contagious, and that's something to be disputed whether an exosome is a virus or not. I think
Well, I was
that
going to add that it's just the terminology is that an exo means that it would be something that you excrete. That something does, that your body puts out, and what the debate is that that what we're putting out, is that toxic to other people, and will that infect other people, right?
Yes. I mean, the exosome, when they say exosome, it's actually a particle which looks like a virus, and it's emitted by your own cells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the virus theory goes a step ahead, and it says, well, okay, it's produced by your cells, but it also is able to hijack cells and take over, and that's something that, in fact, I think it's the biggest problem with the virus theory, the
Yes.
concept that a small RNA particle is able to invade such a complex cell and to hijack it and create copies of it. And that's something that personally I don't subscribe to. So my personal belief, and I say belief because it's stuff that actually I have no evidence of, okay?
Yes.
And probably all the virologists also, they don't have evidence, but all the information that they fabricate, they claim to be evidence and proof, and that's where the fraud lies, okay?
Yes.
But uh, it's my personal belief that viruses, if they existed, it's in fact the cells that allow them to enter into the cellular medium, and they intentionally create copies of the virus for a very precise and specific reason. So actually, it's your body wanting to replicate this viral RNA, and not the opposite way around, that the virus is hijacking your body. Okay, so actually it's your body intentionally for a very important purpose, which is, as we mentioned, to detoxify and to do a cleanup. It's a very complex messaging mechanism. I mean, these viruses, you can look at it as well, we once used the term whisperers of wisdom, okay, because whatever things that you experience inside your own body, the virus actually interacts with you. It learns through that process also. It encodes that experience inside the RNA. It modifies it. So, in fact, there is not a single virus that looks the same, because whenever it's moving from one person to another, it already has incorporated the experience of that person, and it communicates it now to the new person. Okay, so that's why you get all this racing against the mutation and all that, because the virus is never stable, because
It's
whatever
never going to be.
experience, yeah, it's never going to be. It's
It's like us. It's just. I pardon me, Artin. It's just. I believe that viruses are an integral part of homeostasis. I believe that viruses are actually healthy and part of nature, and that, like you said, these are genetic messengers that are a dynamic part of our ecosystem, and it's just incredible that as fast as technology is advancing, you would think that most people could catch up and keep up with technology, and would ride the wave of information, but people just keep getting left behind, and it's just sad that all this information is available, and that people are just, they don't understand that this is a natural phenomenon, and that the micro ecosystem, you cannot sterilize that either. They're trying to destroy some natural thing that you cannot destroy nature or contain nature. That's the thing, is that as much as humans have tried to control and manipulate nature, as much as we have tried, we have not been successful, and they're still trying with this virus. And my point is that the micro ecosystem is very important, and that these scientists are deliberately attacking the micro ecosystem.
And exactly, that's the exact reason whenever you get antiviral therapy, which basically will go and will now target a certain RNA. So it's a certain genes that supposedly looks like a virus, or that's the target. That's why you feel so bad, because you cannot actually target only that particular gene, right? I mean, if you hit these genes with some chemical treatment, that is going to also affect your other genetic particle, which is yourself. So
Yep.
that's why it's so destructive, and that's also one of the reasons why I think in the 90s, when people were getting all these HIV treatments, that they were dying not because of the virus, but because of these
Because of the
aggressive
treat.
treatments.
Yep. And
And
who
I
was
think,
the proponent? Who was a big proponent of the AIDS pandemic?
who?
Who? The question is, the answer is Mr. Anthony Fauci. Actually,
Okay.
and what interestingly enough, I was born in 1988, and it's just that simple to go do your research with this technology. I could find out information from before I was born, and I know that Anthony Fauci, selling the coronavirus panic, also sold the AIDS virus panic.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, it doesn't make sense to single out a person. I mean, not that I like those people or whatsoever.
Well,
The
pardon
thing that,
me, but it's a fact, though. Am I
yeah,
wrong?
I mean, we are dealing now here with a system, with an industry, right? And these are only front people, and
Yeah.
but in fact, even the smallest scientist who's working now in these institutes is equally guilty in promoting this fraud, or this system, this aggressive and damaging system. Even the
Yeah.
scientists and the doctors and the pharmacists. I mean, it's a massive money generating system, and I don't think anybody is free from guilt in this. Of course, there is the big profiteers and the small profiteers, but even now, if you are working in a lab and you are making, let's say, a 50 or 100K a year, then you are also partly guilty of doing this harm, right? You
Yeah.
cannot claim that. I mean, the thing is that you can see how attractive this entire thing is, because whenever something yields profits, only then they speak and they promote it, right? I mean, if you are now preaching, let's say, liberating knowledge, so knowledge that allows people to deal with their own health, you don't need to buy any medicine, you don't need to go to a hospital, you don't need a insurance policy. Well, that's all cool, but how does that how does it help
It's
the
not
economy,
very
right?
lucrative, is it?
Exactly. So
No, it's so interesting to have this conversation, because every single thing that you say, I could say something as well, and it's just, I know that it's more important to listen than to speak, because you will learn twice as much. And I just pulled out a $100 bill, because this is just monopoly money over here. It's funny money. The bankers can print money out of thin air, and of course, who wouldn't want $100,000 right now? Because guess what? In America, you could still have a good time with $100,000, even though they closed all the borders. you know, there is still this illusion of freedom and prosperity, which prosperity is inherent. Resources are inherent, and I would just like to say that the reason why people believe they don't have any time is because people have been taught their whole lives to believe in lack, and people don't understand their inner wealth and their inner wisdom. And like you were saying, you already intuitively know what you're looking for on the internet, and you just go on the internet to confirm your bias. And the problem with this technology is you'll get stuck in an echo chamber, and that's just what the popular narrative is, and what everyone wants is money. And it's just, people are paying too much attention to chasing that dollar, instead of pumping the brakes and looking around, and realizing that, yeah, I can get sick, but it's not worth it to change my whole entire life and live like because there's a chance that I can get sick, experience some discomfort. They're the authorities, the media, the money tells you that the most important thing is to live comfortable and safe. But what people forget is that they're going to die someday, and they're using this narrative of death and fear, and it's because people have lost touch with their inner self, their inner knowing, their inner power, their greater power, whatever it is. It's just their ideology, their belief system, and it's just what gets people through life and through the next day. And I think people have given that up to the almighty dollar. They have given it up to a fantasy of fame and fortune. And it's just the popular thing that is really spread across the whole entire globe through technology, is this American imperialism, this pop culture, which is so hollowed out and broke that you would have to be a fool not to see it at this point. And just pardon me, I just like it, I feel like my show is mostly about belief systems, you know, and my ultimate goal in life, I think, is to find the best belief system that humanity could adopt. And you know, it's not going to be a universal or uniform one, because we all have our own individual philosophies and beliefs. And it's just, I've always wanted to be an individual and stand out from the crowd. And it's just so sad to see everyone just falling in line. And there's always been this whole idea of what normal is, but now what is normal? To wear a mask and not hug people, and to not trust people like they're an infected bag of germs, and let your relatives just rot away in an old folks home. We have gotten so out of touch with nature that we let the government take care of our elders and our children. And these are the most precious periods of life, where you're just coming into this world and you're leaving this world. And those two parts of life have been hijacked. And then there's the middle, where we're just stuck in this grind for this dollar that they can print out of thin air. It's overwhelming.
I mean, look at maybe now we are also singling out the dollar. I mean, eventually it can be the yuan also, but the idea is the profit system, okay? And that stretches back in history. Maybe you can reach until Egyptian or Babylonian times. That was the same concept, right? Because at that time also you had, let's say, the king or the pharaoh or whoever, and they were just exploiting people and giving them radishes as as their pay, right? I mean, despite all the fantasies that supposedly that they were believing that they were doing such great stuff. Probably yes, there was a belief that they are contributing to something magnificent and great, but the level of exploitation, in fact, was also as prominent as it is now. So that is, I think, even if you go down to the Bible, there was always this tendency of one person trying to dominate the other. Okay, so even with the jealousy and the domination. Okay, and that's the whole thing, right?
Ego.
Whenever you are now acquiring wealth, I mean, especially people when they have, let's say, $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion, I mean, it's no longer about money, right? It's about power. So you want to project power on people. So there is a certain kind of thirst there for this kind of satisfaction. Okay?
Oh, yes.
But you know, sometimes you would also think, well, look at these poor people and all that. Yeah, maybe they are financially poor. But now, if that poor person, if suddenly is also in a different position, that they are in a wealthy and a strong position, maybe they would not act very different to those who are already in positions of power. You know, this is There is a book from one Austrian author which says that whenever you have power, you just use it. So this is like whenever, let's say, you see an insect, a bug, okay, even a child, when he's seeing a bug, they will just smash it, right? You don't think about its pain because you are so much powerful. Of course, there is the kind of people who are very sensitive, very aware, and they're aware of the life of the bug and its suffering. Okay, but as long as you have power, you just use it. Okay, it's so tempting that it's just there. I mean, that would require, let's say, quite a change in mentality and mindset. That
Psychology. Yep.
suddenly, yeah, so that you would use the power in a positive way, in
Yes.
transforming positively. Okay. In any case, Ru, what I want to emphasize is that we as people, we need to be aware that the current system, it's a system of money, it's a system of profits. Okay.
Okay.
So any kind of transaction, whether you are now going to the
Yep.
grocery or you are going to the
It's
doctor or
about
you are
profit. Every single time money moves, someone makes money.
exactly. So nobody's here for your own benefit. Okay. Except for yourself. Okay, so only you are here for yourself, and probably your close relatives also. They quite care about
Your
you,
family.
your family. Okay, you know it's the blood tie. Yeah? You cannot deny that. But even there, sometimes you get brothers who are at each other's throats. Okay, and they hate each other. You know, even with when it
No.
comes to blood ties, that's also sometimes it gets quite
Why?
nuts.
Why is it? Why is there so much division? Like, I mean, I guess it's just the nature of reality.
Yeah, this is maybe something that you cannot change, and that's unless maybe we are now living in a different, living in a different era. Okay, so
We
according
are
to the Indians, to the Hindu mythology, there is this different ages, right? The golden age and the bronze age.
astrology.
Yeah.
I study
So
it.
yeah, so you need to be aware that it's a system of money, and when you go to the doctor, that's a system of profit, and
Yep.
that is not necessarily to your benefit, the service that you are getting. So as long as you keep aware of this idea, okay, then one can, let's say, be on the right path to healing and to self-liberate, because eventually healing is self-liberation, right?
It is.
So so
But
so many people just they are just so naive, and especially when they see the white robes, they
yep.
just
They
they
look
just
at
have
white. Hey, I'm not saying I'm white, but they tell me I'm white. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there is such a strong belief in this system that some people, only by the fact that they are admitted to hospital, then their symptoms disappear, because then they think they are in the safety net, right? That
Yes, the placebo effect.
exactly. Yeah, but
The
yeah,
power of the mind.
exactly, exactly. I mean, I know it's even my father is of this mindset, and this is also something when you are now dealing with this topic, you notice that even the closest people might not subscribe to your opinion, right? Because finished, that's their nature, that's their role
Yep.
in life,
Yep.
and you know everybody has his own karma. They say, right? Right.
Yeah,
So
it's like the gentlemen that I work with, and I love them all with my the deepest part of my soul, and they'll never know. But like we won't agree. We just fundamentally like on people will fundamentally never agree on anything, but that's what keeps this world moving forward is everyone's individual belief systems. I think is just the power of the mind, and what you believe ultimately will be what you see in reality.
yes, and now also there is with this all this technology, back to technology, because now there is this possibility of internet. People are accessing information. They can potentially see whatever they want.
Yes.
That's also interesting how this is all going to pan out.
Yes.
There is, in my opinion, there is a positive trend. Okay, look, if there was no positive trend, then all these big tech companies wouldn't have actively been censoring and doing all that. Okay,
Absolutely.
so, but we'll have to wait and see how this develops, and maybe there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, there always is, and that's ultimately like the human condition, and that we've always been told that human. I've always heard in basically weird myths is just humanity always has hope and love, and that's what we are.
Yeah, without hope, then I think we are in hell, right? If there is no hope, then we are in hell. There is no purpose to continue this life, and that's something not only that we need to just lay back and hope for the best outcome, but also somehow within everybody's capacities and means, you need to positively influence, right, the course of events. Yeah, I mean, we don't have superpowers. I think in general, it's not a single person who will be able to change everything. Of course, maybe if you are at the high levels of ruling or for whatever elites, whatever you want to call them, you could eventually have such kind of influence. Okay, but even then, even whatever decision they do, it will be not so easy to transmit and to broadcast those decisions at, let's say, to the millions and the billions of people, right? I mean, now they're claiming that they are going to do something like that with that agenda, with the reset. Of course, that also it's just serving the interest of the corporations and
profit.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with making things better, but just
they call it sustainability, but the only thing they're trying to sustain is their profit.
Exactly. And also, I don't blame them, because when I look at people at individual level, I see everybody running on the same engine, right? It's on the same tune. So everybody, including me and you, probably, we are also after profits, right? I mean, you don't want to be, let's say, a millionaire, but at least you want to sustain yourself, right? So
well, yeah, absolutely, and that's what every single that's what this is. It's life, and life is a struggle. This is the fundamental teaching of all of the greatest philosophers that I've looked into. It's like Buddha. The first noble truth is that life is suffering, and that you even said that some sensitive individuals will recognize that that bug actually is scared of you and actually can sense you and sees you and runs the hell away from you, and we have a right to life because we're here, and as much liberty as we can create, and people have given away all of their time to this dollar instead of being creative in their own right and capacity. Like, I chose to seek out a different path, and I always have, and I've always been shunned as well for that, and that's also part of this problem of matrix of technology is that it actually it is uniformity, it is conformity, it's the path of least resistance people take, and even I could say me just doing an interview right now on a podcast is probably the most I could do right now, but who knows? Like, I already wanted to go to the these ley lines where they have these national monuments and just sit down like an aesthetic and just sit there and just sit and just watch everything and just sit and just just not even caring about anything, just to watch life. Like there's nothing in the world more interesting than just to look at it and just to be at peace with what is. And what I'm trying to imagine, Artin, is a world without greed and a world without fear, and where everyone is living their most creative potentiality, and where people are so excited to wake up because they can't wait to find out what they're going to discover, what they're going to create the next day and learn the next day.
Well, I wish you all the best with that mission.
Thank you.
I think it's achievable. I mean, eventually, any outcome, any forecast of the future, in my opinion, regardless of what you think about astrology or about forecasting, I think if we really want to be very honest with ourselves, any outcome is in fact a 50-50. Okay.
Yep.
So you can now say the future is going to be so dystopian and quite a very dark future is lying ahead. That's, I think, is a 50% chance that it happens. Okay. And you can also claim or believe that the future is going to be so bright and it's going to be so much happiness and fairness and all that stuff, right? And that's also a 50% chance. So there is nobody in this current situation that can with certainty say which outcome. Okay, that's also the interesting part of the times we are living, that the future is so unpredictable. Okay. And if you have seen
That's the best part.
yeah, that's exciting actually, right? And
Yes.
even in one of the principles of knowing the mind in Buddhism is that you need to be aware that the future is still fresh and unconstructed. Okay, so only
Yep.
when you realize that the future is fresh and unconstructed, okay, then you have the influence also to create that future. But if you believe that everything is predetermined and we are going to hell, then you are obviously going to go to hell if you have that belief in mind.
Yeah.
So so I think everything is 50-50. And if you've seen probably on my Twitter page that I have my how's it called the slogan there, the motto is that for every action there is an unpredictable reaction. Okay, because the law of physics, the classical Newtonian law of
Yeah.
physics, it says for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? That's the classical way of things.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look at the chaos physics, chaos theory, and the quantum physics, okay, it actually you've probably heard about the butterfly effect, right?
Oh,
So
actually, that's ironic because I literally said that today. Artine, I
okay,
literally said that today because the wind was blowing so much, and we had a little tiny. Well, we have these battery operated power tools on the job site, and I just the fellas who used to be Amish picked up this leaf blower that was battery operated, and I grabbed it because it was a new tool, and I was like, "This is cool." And it was the wind was blowing, and I grabbed it and I turned it on, and I blew it up in the air, and I said to the other one of the other coworkers, I said, "You've seen the butterfly effect, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And it's just so funny because it was windy, and I was using the little blower.
yeah, so just be conscious of that butterfly effect, and every action has an unpredictable reaction, right? And that can be a positive or a negative. So I think even for people who are, let's say, not so positive because you can transmit actions or you can emit actions which are positive, and then you hope that there is now a positive hurricane, and you can also maybe do harm to people, right? And that also one needs to be aware that you might think that you have calculated the reactions of the action that you are taking, but it can be quite unpredictable. So better, even if some people they're thinking to take any harmful actions, better just sit down on your seat and do as little as possible, because you never know how things can blow back in your face, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think everybody, whenever you wake up, just send a signal to the world, whether it's through words that you talk to your family or friends. Okay, just keep reminding them that this is all a fraud or a bullshit. That's what we are going through. It's not what we are told it is. Okay, because if we actually continue believing and not talking about this, then I think there is quite a dark future lying ahead. Okay, because what actually is what we are being set up for actually will come to realize and will take effect, and will also take root. Okay, so now we are at the early phases of this
They
dark,
planted the
dark.
seed.
Yes, that's a seed right now, and if they keep nurturing it, which they are doing, okay, and just imagine now, even those who are actually planting this seed, they are also going to live and experience this nightmarish scenario. Okay, so one would think, well, yeah, well, they are rich and they're powerful, but I mean, with fortune, you never know how fortune would flip, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes,
I do. I've seen it flip in my life, and that's my whole message to people is
yeah,
that the
and
power of
look,
belief is a real thing.
yeah, and I want to also say something. Let's now assume that we are living in a world where vaccines have become mandated and you have to take it whether you like it or not. And let's assume that Mr. Bill Gates, he was the one who actually have pushed this scenario, right?
Yeah,
Okay, or contributed. Now, it can happen that your own offspring, your children, even if your children they are convinced about it, maybe your grandchildren, now you are setting the path for a future. Maybe your grandchildren they are of a different opinion because you cannot guarantee that if I am, let's say, so much pro-vaccine, that my children also are going to be. I mean, you know, my parents have vaccinated me, have given me the full package. Okay, obviously they were convinced about it, and they would have also advocated for even mandates for vaccines. But suddenly you see that their own offspring turns out to have a different opinion. So now, even if you are this big tech and presidents or whatever, and you are working on pushing these things, you might think that you have a temporary or you have a benefit from it, but you turn out that you are now uh, inheriting a future for your children because they might have a different opinion. So that's no, so everything is not what you are actually imagining to be true. Okay, people think that I have a full grip over how life will develop, but actually you
reality.
don't. Even on your
No.
children, you don't have control and you don't have ability to. I mean, usually, even with rich people, their kids usually are spoiled and they are rebels, and especially with when it comes to because they have not lived this normal down to earth life, right? So then they have all these psychological issues and whatever
Yeah.
challenges, okay? And they turn out to be not so balanced people. So they are more prone to rebellion than normal people. So just every day, it's not so difficult. First of all, one shouldn't, let's say, make so much. One shouldn't panic, right? So
Yeah,
panic and fear. That's an enemy.
it is.
Okay.
Adversary.
Okay. So yeah, so one should take it easy, watch things a bit passively, but also at the same time actively keep reminding people, friends, maybe colleagues, or on the internet. Every day you wake up, you just tweet something. Hey, by the way, we are still living in a fraud. Congratulations.
Yes, well, actually, you got to give yourself a pat on the back. When the people realize that we've been at war for years and years. We don't know how long, but it's been a psychological war, and actually, I think I honestly believe they're losing their grip. And they've unleashed this information and this technology, but they thought that they could control it, and they can't. Just like anything else in nature, you can't control nature. Nature does what it does, and that's the great mystery.
Yes, it's very complex. The nature of reality is very complex. There is so many constituents. There is so many entities. I mean, eventually you're dealing with 7 billion people, and that's if you want to control only people. Okay, but the world is more than people. You have ecologies, you have storms, you have floods, you have earthquakes, you have tsunamis. You name it, right? I mean, you have oceans and mountains. You cannot dominate. I mean, there is a certain sense of grandeur and belief that humans are able to control everything. I think this will intensify this belief because
Yeah,
obviously the capabilities are quite actually impressive, right? Of the techno-industrial system, it's not to be underestimated. Okay, there is big, but then when I mean, this was as clear as the sky. You could see before this entire Corona thing actually surfaced is that there was lots of rebellions happening. I mean, there was Hong
Yes.
Kong, there was in France, and
Yes.
suddenly, this thing came as if it was, a gift from heaven for governments, that they just now have a tool in order to impose lockdown and to control the movement of people. So it's something that's why it's the mother of all conspiracies, because the conspirers are in the range of the millions. So it's one thing if you have only one conspirer, then it's a small conspiracy,
Wow,
no
this has
matter how.
literally got to be the biggest cover up in the history of humanity.
Look, even maybe the average teenager who basically is sick of school, okay, has a vested interest in promoting this fraud, because we say, well, fuck it, I don't want to go to school, so yeah, this corona, and will mask
Yeah,
himself up,
every single person. So they've incentivized the persons who test positive for COVID to get a paid vacation because the governments have declared an emergency because they can print money out of thin air. So now all of this emergency funding is reinforcing the behavior, and we can go back to Pavlov and behaviorism, and it's just the pleasure switch inside the brain keeps pushing like, hey, I don't have to work, I can just sit back and kick it and just get this money and escape into this technology and be entertained and sit on my ass inside and eat junk food, and then we will have a health pandemic, a real one, because every single person that buys into this narrative is they're eating psychological poison, and it equates to also the physical poison of the shot, which is why I am officially calling this the Plutonian Prisoners podcast, because it has to do with everything that I represent, which is astrology and being incarcerated, which is like, they're telling people you can't travel and socialize. It's they're prisoners in their own homes and in their own minds, and it's a mind fuck being locked up. And there's your F word for you. And it's gonna take some time, but it's just good that we have people that are strong and that are standing up and that aren't afraid.
Definitely a vicious circle. Definitely is a vicious circle. So you
It's a
subscribe.
positive feedback loop.
Yeah, because also whenever now you are staying at home, you're not moving much, then you are more prone to get sick.
Stagnant.
Stagnant, exactly. Yeah, I mean, look, even people especially people who, let's say in our generation, who work with computers and stuff, they are also at some point in the beginning, they were very happy to subscribe to this entire
Yeah,
conspiracy, because they would then get to work from home. They don't need
they
to
don't have
move.
to
They don't need to
travel,
commute.
make more
Okay, so
money.
yeah, so that's why I say it's the mother of all conspiracy, because the conspirators are in the range of millions and billions.
Oh, they don't even realize it. I'm sorry, I get it now. Like, they don't even. I thought you were saying, like, when you said millions, I was thinking like dollars, but you're talking about the people that are unaware. Jeez, man, that you literally just blew my mind. A part of me, Altin, it's just oh man. If
Yeah,
if
so
any,
so
that's perfect.
yeah, so the incentives that this has generated. Okay, I mean, of course, you have, look, the pharmaceutical industry, especially the virology scientists and institutes, they were doing what they were doing for the last maybe 100 years. Okay, they weren't doing
Yeah.
anything new. There is certain specialists, experts. They do that for a living. They try to fish out and to find out new viruses. Okay, that's their business model. Okay, that's
Wow.
their business model, to find new viruses, then to develop vaccines. That's a separate thing by itself. Okay, so they have been doing that, and they did it also in China, and there is nothing new going on there. So what happened there? What happened there is that I think in China, okay, when this happened, suddenly they make it like a big fuss, and then, oh, there is a pandemic, and then China used it in order to tame its own population. Okay, and you remember the scenes when they were locking up some houses, and they were just some buildings, and they were closing
Oh,
the doors.
that dramatic. It was blown out of proportion, I'm sure. Crisis actors, but
Yeah, crisis act, or but the government was also doing in parallel what governments do, and what the
yep,
government do is that they tame people and they keep them
yep.
under control, right? So
Yeah.
virologists were doing what they do best, governments were doing what they do best, okay? And then now the rest of the world also picked up and said, wow, what a cool thing, right? Well, I mean, imagine in a country like Iran. So suddenly you have now Iran and the United States. They are on the same page. They are in agreement when it comes to
I
the
hate
virus.
that. I hate that. That is so weird.
And also there was a popular uprising, I think, in the Middle East. So all these governments also found it a great opportunity now to do this entire, to replicate what China did. Okay, so it's like, I don't think that there was a certain command and control place where everything was being orchestrated. Okay, because this is even for whoever's wildest imagination, nobody would have believed that you can pull off something like this. Nobody, even if you put all the resources, it's so
Yeah.
unpredictable to plan something like this. So I'm not so much subscriber of the initial conspiracy theory that there was somebody sitting in a cockpit, because okay, yeah,
Right.
you can create something like this, but how can you make now governments all over the world to comply? So actually there was an interest. So that's why I say is mother of all conspiracy, because the conspirators are so many. Okay, and
Yeah.
also it's decentralized. Like you brings back to your Bitcoin thing, right?
Yeah. The decentralization.
This is decentralized conspiracy. This one.
Oh,
So
yeah.
everybody basically chipped in and say, okay, I will do my part in a decentralized way. Then you have the PCR testing, which is also a massive business. It's
Yep.
a
I
massive
know it.
business.
Colorado is making, I think, somewhere around the neighborhood of like 80,000 per positive test, or so. I looked. The information's just right out there on the web. On the web.
So on top of this, also you have this entire digitalization, digital transformation drive, which now the COVID came as a great accelerator and opportunity, right? So all these tech firms, they now use this opportunity to push new software, new applications. I mean, only think about this remote learning, right, for kids. So suddenly now you have all this software. Actually, it's still such a missing market because there is not so much tools available there. Okay, but that's something that is now so much on demand that
Yep.
you develop these platforms and these companies who are able to teach remotely. So you see there is this digital acceleration, and the companies, they took advantage of it. So everybody said, well, yeah, there is a corona, let's live this and
But
let's
yes, this
benefit.
is how they get their. It's how I agree, Martinez, is that it's how they're getting the it's pardon me, I'll just put it in simple terms for people. It's the fourth industrial revolution, and it's the biotechnological revolution, and it's the infotech revolution. And I think that they've been going on probably as long as I've been alive, at least. But now it's being hyper. It's the hyperization of this revolution. It's gaining its momentum.
Yes, and that term, the fourth industrial revolution, I think it was coined by Klaus Schwab, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think he coined it. Maybe he did. I, I heard about the fourth industrial revolution before I heard about Klaus Schwab.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe industry 4.0 or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, that's the drive. It seems that now that they are pushing is to digitalize everything. Okay. Also, when it comes to this, is also the big problem with these vaccine passports. Actually, it's not vaccine passports. it will keep track of whatever health conditions that you have, because not
It's
everybody will.
it's a biological blockchain.
Yeah,
And there's a patent that Bill Gates has called ID 2020. You can check it out, id2020.org.
yeah, and look, from really now, from a management point of view, it completely makes sense, right? To
Have a
chip
digital
everybody.
identity in the 21st century? Yeah.
It, from if you want to manage people, right? Now, whether that's the benefit to the benefit of the people. So maybe if there was, let's say, benevolent powers, maybe I would have been the first to take the chip, right?
Exactly. If you could trust someone with all of this, but you can see obviously that you know that these even like you said, millions and billions of people, that we can't trust people who blindly accept whatever they're told about anything, because they are so naive. And that's the thing about human nature, is that we are a pack animal, and most of the pack are very docile and just like to follow the rest of the pack.
Yeah, that's the herd mentality, right? You see everybody just flocking in the same direction, and that's also the media has mastered how they
Yeah.
can control this, right? I mean, you can this goes a bit back some
Deeper.
years. It has been now tested for some years. I think on Facebook, there has been some campaigns before to check this herd mentality, that if they make something a trending, and then people, like maybe some ice challenge, that some people are throwing some buckets of ice on their heads.
Oh yeah,
They're
and the Tide Pods. I got out of prison, or I was in prison. I heard that there was a Tide Pod challenge where people were eating poison on and putting it on the internet, and they're like, "Hey, look, I can eat poison and live." I guess, I don't know. I was in prison, and look, going to prison gives me a unique perspective. I'm in no way proud of being incarcerated, but it's given me a break, and to come out and see that the changes happen so fast in society, and now we're at this, and oh my gosh, they do these psyops. They launch something out into the media, and then they track it like a scientist. This science and technology is so advanced. It's so weird. It's like they put this out, and then they track it and trace it and monitor it, and learn every single thing that they can possibly, and they create this aggregate of data, which feeds into an algorithm, which is a self-replicating thing almost at this point. I could guarantee you that there are sentient algorithms in their own right. There has to be already. I wouldn't doubt it. It's mind-boggling.
That field, that technological field, is developing quite rapidly. I agree with you. That's the pace. I mean, look, even with this normal things like facial detection and recognition, I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? I mean, even with this translation services, voice to text. I mean, yeah.
Are you familiar with the bioprinted organs?
Not really. I know the printed beef, the printed meat.
Well, if they can print the meat, you don't think that they could make the organs? They can make the tissue. They can make the organs. We are already way further beyond what people actually realize at this point.
So the printing of the organs, I don't believe that. Neither of the tissues. Look, I think this is a cover for a quite more sinister business, which is actually the organ business, organ trade. Okay, so they just give you the impression to the public that, oh, look, we are printing organs and stuff.
Oh, that makes sense.
But deep down, that's probably one of the dirtiest business in the world right now. And I mean, look, there is
black market.
It's a black market. I mean, there is a book. It's called Red Market. Okay, and it tells you how basically organs these days they are priced as if just like a regular menu. You can just choose. Okay, a kidney in the
Yeah,
market costs
there has to
10,000.
be so much excess mortality in this society, and they've already revealed it to us in some of the pop culture movies that they in the future you can basically live forever, and you take out loans on these organs, and if you don't make your payment, they come and recollect your organ.
Nice, nice, very nice, very nice.
Ugh.
There is also they are passing laws. I think some places in Europe, I think in Spain they did that. That you basically look. So normally you need to give approval in order to for your organ to be taken. But in this case, since many people they are not giving their approval, so they just claim that if you didn't opt out, that means you already have given your approval. So by default, you are considered that you are
Yes.
donating your organs. And that's something that I just want to make this point is that people think that, well, yeah, okay, if I'm dead, so why not benefiting and helping somebody else with my organs? But that's the biggest misconception because whenever your organs are taken, you are not dead. Because if you are dead, your organs are dead, right? So actually, you are alive and despite the fact that you are heavily anesthetized, the body still feels the pain when your body is being ripped off and taken your organs piece by piece. So this is a very, very dark topic. Maybe I didn't want to touch this, but we
Well,
did, right?
I appreciate that. No, I
Okay.
no, I could.
Let me
That,
Ru, let me finish this point.
of
Let me finish
course.
this point. Is that whenever they are doing this, okay, suddenly whenever you are laying down in the ER, in the emergency room, and they are, let's say you had a problem, you are an accident or something, so suddenly there is a price tag on you because that normally a doctor, which is let's say working on transplanting, let's say of liver, and so they earn salary, yearly income of 700, 800,000. So that's kind of money that we are talking about. Okay, not to mention also all this machinery industry that is to support this organ whenever they are being transplanted. So the hospitals, so the money business here in this, it's huge. Okay, it's huge, and there is suffering and there is misery. The thing is that if they don't take organ from local citizens, okay, then they are even inclined to now go cross border because probably you can find cheaper organs there, okay, and even there is some countries which even have transplantation tourism. So that's a very dark business, and I don't believe that they're able to print a single cell, okay, not to mention a tissue, because still, despite the fact of all the advancement of science, they are not able to create a cell that is able to live and to just perform its function. They can maybe manipulate it, they can change its environment so that it does some certain things, but they just can't assemble things together. Okay, I think it's a very far-fetched scenario, and we are not nearly close. I'm still open to see if there is something really like that, but I think it's a cover for a much sinister activity going on, which is this entire transplantation business. Because
Yeah.
people eventually would be asking, hey, I mean, we are having, let's say, 1 million liver transplants a year, so they need to find the right story, right, to cover that. I mean, from where it is coming, these 1 million livers. Okay.
Wow.
Anyway.
So, have you ever heard of Schumann?
No.
He was a scientist who discovered the frequency of Earth, apparently, and apparently he was able to generate life inside of a petri dish with a frequency, and it's known as the Schumann resonance, and it's the frequency of Earth, and apparently the frequency of life. So, I'm not going to say that they haven't tried to bioprint organs, and if they could bioprint the tissue, the meat, I'm not going to throw it out there, but I'm also not going to say that what you're saying about this industry, and it is an industry. I don't doubt that at all. Absolutely, it's an industry. It's out in the open, obviously. So I'm saying that maybe
it's possible, let's say, to print some parts of a certain organ which has some anatomic function. Okay, like maybe the cavity of a heart,
but
the
the
chamber.
biomechanical aspect that's already happening with everything, how they're grafting in the Neuralink, and
Yes.
the nanotechnology and the nanolipid technology that's in the Moderna vaccine. Um, they're getting pretty crazy. Sci-fi, anyways, I would
Yeah,
say.
honestly, I didn't catch up with the Neuralink development. I didn't follow that what happened. I heard that,
So
yeah, they have
they're Elon Musk actually put a demonstration out on YouTube of a pig that basically the Neuralink was monitoring the neural spikes inside of the pig, and supposedly they're hooking up these animals like Reese's that can control these devices that you can see me through with their mind, and that's the whole thing. Is that what the technocrats are telling us is that the humans can process the information. It's just their input and output of information is flawed. So that's why they're trying to put in this technological medium, which is this Neuralink, to input the information and output the information, because the mind is the ultimate processor of information. We already know the power of the mind. That's why we've had such a mentally stimulating conversation tonight. But yes, the Neuralink is quite disturbing. And I would also argue
let's
quickly.
see if Musk can replicate with his pics what we are just discussing.
Exactly, but my guess is that this mRNA, this nanolipid this biotechnology that they're claiming is a vaccine, I would say is connected to functioning with the Neuralink. If this is all nanotechnology, which I actually do believe that nanotechnology is I already know it's here, because when you put a SIM card into your cellular telecommunication device today, the SIM card is called a nano SIM. So they're already implying that they have nanotechnology, and the Moore's law actually states that the technology will replicate itself at an exponential rate for a period of time.
So the potential is there, definitely, right? But regarding the current vaccines, if they have reached that level, I'm a bit conservative on that. So I think, look, let's be as grounded as possible. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, look, the desire and the intention to do all these things is always there,
Yes,
right?
they're
With these
planting the
companies.
seed, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Putting
they would keep working on it. You have maybe some hotshots inside these companies who say, "Well, I have a brilliant idea. What's your idea?" Okay, then it proposes it. Oh, wow, good. Okay, so these prospects are always discussed, and they are researched, and they put lots of money in order to research it and to see if there is something. And probably, if it's not, let's say, civilian research, then maybe military research is even far ahead. Although now I think they leveled out, so probably whatever is at the civilian level is the same as what can be found at the military level. Okay, so because obviously it's the civilian level is much more competitive, right? Environment, so things
yes.
can go so faster. You can recruit so quicker, and you can do all kind of programs. Anyway, the thing is that with these vaccines, okay, first of all, fundamentally, I think I don't want to touch this topic, but I'm fundamentally against all vaccines whatsoever. Well, let me also stretch it even further, all medical intervention whatsoever, and that's a separate podcast we can have to discuss by detail why is it that every single medical intervention, from your a harmless aspirin, whatever, the Panadol to the vaccine, to all of them are useless and they are harmful, and there is much better way to do things. Okay, so that's a
Why are
settled
they
issue.
so invasive?
Okay, but now regarding these RNA vaccines, okay, so what seems to be happening is that you have this messenger RNA, which I think most of the people who are maybe now listening to this are familiar with this. Okay, so the messenger RNA, usually it's produced inside your body. Your
Yeah.
cells, your nucleus of your cells produces
Communicate with
this
each other.
messenger, okay? And it instructs now the production parts inside the cell, the protein production. It tells them what protein to produce. Okay, because based on the needs of the body, because it needs some hormones, it needs this, it needs whatever. Okay, so this instruction usually your body gives it to your cells. So now they have outsmarted your body, and they are now giving your cells through this injection instructions from outside of your body.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a
Now the only thing here is that your body has, let's say, a biological history, okay, of billions of years and knows exactly what it's doing, right? Whereas these companies who are now instructing your body to do that, they only have a history of, let's say, 10 years. So there is quite a gap in terms of experience and capabilities between what your body can do and what these companies they synthesize, because these are all synthetic RNA. Okay, these are not
yeah.
natural; they're produced in the laboratory. So they are giving the instruction. Okay, fine. This is now the technology. Now the only problem here is that they are giving instruction for your body to create diseased particles, which is this viral spike proteins. Okay, so they are turning your body into a disease producing thing. Okay,
Oh, man, it's a pharmacology. It turns your cells into a pharmacology factory.
exactly.
Basically,
And your immune system then detects that and will make a response to that.
it'll attack
Okay,
it.
it will attack it. So this is the risk of the autoimmune diseases. Actually, whoever are having reactions to it, in fact, it's just an immune reaction to what's going on, and then they are getting these rashes on their arms, which is also a sign that the body is attacking the cells, the muscle cells, and the skin cells. Okay, where there was the injection site. Now the problem with this nano, so in order to deliver this and to stabilize the RNA, the messenger RNA, they pack it with some fat, and they call it nanolipid. So why is nanolipid? Why is so small? So that it can penetrate through the
Yep.
body, okay, and to enter the cell, because they want to deliver this particle, the RNA, inside the cell. Usually, the cell it has a membrane. It doesn't
Isn't
allow.
it isn't it one of the spike proteins that is inside of the nanolipid? It's carried inside of the nanolipid gel, and it's a spike protein from the virus that goes into that medium that you were talking about, the cellular medium.
Yes, so it's a template. It's a messenger RNA which gives instruction to your cell to produce that spike protein. Okay, so it's a template, if you want to call it from a software point of view. Okay,
Yeah,
now
it's an operating system, right? Or it's software to interact with your hardware.
yes, and yeah, exactly. It's actually a software instruction eventually. I mean, it's a small robot that it's really quite a mechanic procedure. Okay, because this entire process of how this RNA they are produced. Okay, it's quite a mechanical process. So in a
Yeah.
sense, you can say that it's more or less a nano robot. Okay, although robot it has a bit more sophisticated function, but this one is just a mechanical tool. Now, so far so good. Okay, so it's making so there is a risk of autoimmune reaction, which will target your muscle cell, obviously, because it's muscles that's producing it. The only problem is that because it's a nano-sized, there is no guarantee that only your muscle cells would be affected because these are nano-sized particles. They can just
so
traverse.
it's invasive. It goes into your brain. It goes into it can go into everything inside of you. It down to your DNA almost, right?
Exactly. And even I would subscribe to the opinion that so far so good. Let's say it's all good. Now, one risk that I find here is that this is potentially, it can be transformed into a weapon. So even now, if you are using it, let's say for positive purpose, that you want to supposedly create an immune reaction against the COVID, okay, fine.
Yeah.
At any time, you can modify your production in order to insert some different templates. Okay?
Oh my God.
And suddenly, instead of your cells producing this spiked protein for the COVID, it can create some kind of a spiked protein for which resembles, let's say, which resembles your lung tissues. And then your body suddenly will go and attack your lungs after getting the vaccine. So do you understand? You can basically program the body.
The people's biology is being hacked, and they don't even realize it.
Exactly. You can basically program the body to do anything.
Grid. Pardon me. It's just the control grid with 5G. It's even. Let's just say that this is what these. Would you say that there's any heavy metals in have you looked at any of the ingredients? Is there any heavy metals in these?
Not really. So in this case, these RNA vaccines, the heavy metals, that is free from heavy metals, and that's the least of the problem. So this is in this case, imagine what kind of a world we are living in. So now you would even fancy to have the heavy metal type of vaccine rather than this RNA gene modifying.
The thing exactly, but the thing is just that what I'm concerned about is that they have this nanotechnology, and then they have the 5G, which is a microwave technology. So I would think that there are molecules that are metallic molecules that are in this technology that would interact with the radio frequency that are on the microwave technology. Microwaves interacting with nanotechnology is, I don't think, too far-fetched. I mean, we do have that. I'm talking to someone that is literally 7 hours away. We're both in darkness right now, I assume. The sun is moving towards arcing right now, but this is magic in a sense. I mean, you imagine trying to explain having this conversation with my great grandpa who died at the age of 105, who lived an entire century, but trying to explain to him. I mean, wow.
It's quite challenging, I would say, even not for your grandpa, for just normal people. It's almost impossible. I mean, sometimes I just don't want to talk anything about it because it's so difficult. From where do you want to get started, you know?
Yeah.
There's some people, even not so old people, not so informed. They haven't been informing themselves for quite a while now, and they were distracted by all the pop culture and whatever entertainment that they were given. And then you are like, okay, well, where do I start from? So you just basically shut up, you know? You just don't open the topic. It's because also, you know, now, for example, we are talking, we are more or less at the same level, right, of understanding of things. So the ideas, it's easily absorbed, so vice versa. But if somebody hasn't done his homework, and then you tell them this, and then every certain idea that you are now talking will basically take a couple of hours to explain the background of that, right? And it's a hopeless case.
It's language. It's the power of language, and English is was the newest language, but now internet is a new language. The technology is a new language, and human nature is to adapt and overcome. And it's just, there's a whole swath of the population that's just left in the dust, like that was just, it's just, I just my heart goes out to so many people right now, and it just disgusts me that America has all this wealth. Like the baby boomers have $1 trillion in just their spending capacity, and they could change the whole world with just that. I know it, and they're all paralyzed over here through this. Oh man, I love being live though, man. It's a great honor to be born in this time, and it's just an honor to meet you, and it's just like I said, like you said, it's a whole language, and just to explain nanolipid or biotech or Bitcoin decentralization. I mean, and I love language so much, and I just want to learn another language. I want to learn how to speak Spanish. It's so bad, and I dabble in all these different languages. But the greatest thing is etymology. Is just the root of the meaning of things, and that's why I appreciate people like you, Artines, someone who looks at the core of what reality is and who you are and what it is to be a sentient being of consciousness and light, more or less. It's been great, man.
Nicely said. I mean, this the technology eventually, everything is available. Okay, so we can look at it as it's a Darwinian approach.
It's a tool.
Evolution. Okay, so everything we have reached to this level, and now we are at certain points where we can use this either to make it or break it, right? So you can use it in order to thrive and prosper, or you can use the wrong buttons and watch Lady Gaga, or now there is a new one also, Cardi B. Okay, and to your own detriment, right? And then so look, these days, I mean, everybody from your own grandpa, may God bless his soul if he's died, okay?
Yes.
But everybody from the old to the young has been informed that vaccines are not good, especially these ones, that that COVID actually is nothing but, let's say, a fraud, okay? It's nothing just normal influenza. I mean, even I think the president of your country was just saying at the beginning, at least it's a flu, right? And then he changed his mind because probably there was some business interests also, probably, So the thing is that everybody has been informed about that there is something fishy here, right?
Yep.
So now, if you take the official narrative and you follow that path to your own detriment, then that's your own problem, right? That's your own responsibility.
Yep.
Nobody is pushing you in that direction. And if you take the other path, which is now you take this opportunity as a catalyst to open your brain, to open your mind, your eyes, and to wake up, and now to take a new path, to make necessary changes, dietary changes, lifestyle changes, mental attitude change, If you do that, then you are obviously doing good to yourself, okay? So despite all the doom and gloom that we are all going to go to hell soon, I think still if we compare the world that we are living in now with the previous episodes in the history, okay, of mankind, of the world, we are living in a much better place and with much less problems. I mean, we are not living in a times where you can just be picked up as a slave or be, let's say, genocided or you name it, we don't have that same brutality, hopefully not until now. Well, we had, of course, some flare-ups of wars and some, maybe even some countries. There is still some.
America is still out of control.
It's still out of control.
I know you don't want to get into the political side of things, but I don't agree with American drones bombing Muslims in the Middle East because we don't have the same political ideologies and the same monetary system. But
Yeah,
that's another
hopefully
day.
there is some changes also there, some stabilization, because also I think all of these entities and powers, they also realize that there might be blowbacks, right? I mean,
Yep.
yes, as your country in the United States, you have oceans on both sides. You feel very well protected by fish on both sides. Okay, but eventually, it's an interconnected world, so you cannot just
Yep.
keep doing that for a long time
That's
without any
what's happening.
repercussion.
I agree. The karma is that American imperialism is catching up, and we need some heroes to step up and stop the actual. There is still a lot of suffering in this world, and just because we live in the Western world and we're comfortable over here does not mean that there is third world suffering and poverty, and that's kind of another one of my messages, is that we have all the wealth in the Western world. It's just we're being attacked. We're being attacked with this fraud, like you said, and all these people with the wealth that could be redistributing and benefiting the world with this technology are in fear of a fraud and being manipulated on a biological and a psychological and a spiritual level.
I mean, definitely the U.S. It's still used to be the biggest country, most powerful in the world, and if it changes positively, then it will have also global influence impact positively, right? And the same is for China. I mean, these are the two big
Yeah.
blocks, and how these blocks develop in the future will have a big impact on the rest of the world. Yeah, so one can only hope for some positive changes,
I am
and
praying
it's
for
yeah,
this. I am praying for that.
yeah. So that's all we can do, right? Yeah,
Yes.
and just take it easy and take things as they come. You also let me just refer biblically. You say don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow is no worries.
Yeah.
So just
You don't
take
add a day to your life by worrying. You only subtract.
exactly. You cannot add a day, so just take the day as it comes and just be mindful and live a healthy life. Be positive and take it. And also, I think this is important that people should have a positive impact inside their working environment. Okay, because usually, we separate these two things. We say business is business, and being a good person is something we do it on Twitter, right? So, so you need to actually transform the working environment also, and to have positive
Yes.
impact there. Yeah? Otherwise, because this is actually the main engine that runs the world. Okay,
Yes.
it's,
Where you
it's
work.
neither it's neither Twitter nor Facebook or whatever. It's actually the companies and the managements which actually produce the food, create the technologies, create the industry.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're in the middle right here. We're all the working class, and the working class is supposed to protect and nurture the children and the elders. We all have our own position. There's the beginning, the middle, and the end.
yeah, exactly. Yes. So when shall we call it a day?
Oh, we can call it. I was trying to direct it. I appreciate. You're
It's
great.
it's it's morning over here, so I
Know
think
it.
I
I
need to.
know it. And I was actually willing to actually wake up at 1 a.m. To meet you on your side. So actually, next time, how about let's do that?
Yes, it was a pleasure, Ru. So
Yeah.
I'm very glad that you hosted me. It was a very pleasant conversation, and I think we can do this more often. And we owe it, right, for whoever is listening to us, that we need
Yes.
to create some positive information, positive content, because
It's just
the
a
level,
different
the
thing.
level, the level of doom and gloom is so horrible. Okay, that you need to keep the
It's
candle on. Just need to keep the candle on.
hey, hey, look, hey, we all have look. Even just real quick, look at how amazing that is. Like
Is yeah, it's a candle, but
it's just
that, but you are a smoker, right?
well, actually, I am I haven't bought it cigarettes. All of this year, it's been about 6 months or so. I casually smoke cigarettes, but I've smoked too much marijuana and I've drank too much alcohol for a lifetime, and these are habits that I would like to make them, if ever can, a ritual. But it's just I do it recreationally, and it's because I haven't really honored who I am as an individual, and it's been hard since the pandemic because I'm a felon and they closed the rec center down because of this whole thing. And I was actually going to the rec center twice a day, exercising at least once a week, and then showering. I would take a sauna and then do a cold shower. And I was making a lot of money in the stock market. And then on Friday the 13th, Trump said, "Oh my God, there's a deadly virus. It's from China." And then, yeah, everywhere in the United States shut down. And in my county, which is Boulder County, they shut down the rec centers, and it's just it's been tough. So I was sober, and then I picked up and trying to quit, but I'm not quite a smoker, and I just
so in general, I think one should do things in life, but never get stuck on stuff. So that's the thing. You always need to, even if one smokes, needs to say, okay, I want to quit it. That needs to be a constant goal, right?
Yeah.
Same with any other recreational drug. I mean, it's
habit.
It's habit, and it doesn't do any good. I mean, I can sense now that there is increased interest, that everybody now is smoking marijuana, and
it's the Soma from 1984 or Brave New World or whatever.
but this is also, it's perfect that also governments also they are allowing this, obviously, because everybody then stays laid back and doesn't do anything. You just are nailed to your couch, and that's what
alcohol does that too. The alcohol, and these are these socially accepted, where alcohol just takes away your inhibition, and marijuana just gives you a euphoria. So it's like you don't want to do anything, and you feel like you're on heaven on earth. And I do smoke and drink typically, and it's like when you do those two at the same time, it creates a new chemical. And I'm aware. I'm completely aware of all of my faults. I'm a cynic, but people take a cynic in a negative light, where actually to be a cynic is a good thing, because the cynics actually question the norms of society. But on that note, Artin, I appreciate you so much. I am going to look after my health, and I promise I'll be more healthy next time we talk.
Well, you promise to yourself. I mean, you do good to yourself, not to me. So
I am. So I already know I am doing good to myself.
So hopefully we do this another time, and maybe we widen the circle also a bit. You never know what happens.
Yeah, and refine it as well.
Okay, take care.
All right. Likewise, brother.
Good night. Bye-bye.